Nuclear programs represents, of course, a very complex and multidimensional challenge. And it's not just for the existing nuclear countries. We have also the newcomers who have to do this and have to speed up. We talk about, as you've probably been talking about today, in 10, 15 years. We're in a hurry to triple the nuclear capacity by 2050, but we can do it in order to succeed by partnerships, cooperating together. And I think this is what WNE 2025 is all about. And hopefully now, when we're bringing together here soon international experts and major decision makers and industry representatives and researchers, we can get some good advice and hopefully some safety management, some planning, risk management, and regulation in order to create new nuclear programs. So please help me now to give a warm hand to our first person up on stage, who is Mrs. Dr. Van Luan. Welcome up on stage, Assistant General Manager, Head of Strategic Planning and International Cooperation Department in China, also Nuclear Engineering and Construction Corporation. Welcome, and please have a seat. Give her a warm hand. Thank you. And also Christopher Grudler, Member of the European Parliament. Welcome up on stage. And Scott Rowe, CEO of Flowserve. Welcome up on stage. You have to keep warming up now. Get some more energy here. And Javier Cruz, Group Executive Director in charge of prefiguration of project ownership for new nuclear, EDF. Warm hand. And Ian Edwards, President and CEO of Atkins Realis. Welcome up on stage. Give him a warm hand. And last but not least, from India, Ananda Prasad Samal, Chief General Manager at NTPC. Give him a warm hand. So great to see you all. I said this is a really international crowd, and we are going to cover for the next hour a little bit more some of these subjects I just mentioned. But to start with something that was mentioned by Minister of Energy this morning, Roland Lescure. He highlighted the importance of partnerships. So I think actually I will start with you, Scott Rowe, because your company is a key supplier for the nuclear industry. And I would love to hear also when it comes to partnerships, like what innovations or supply chain improvements are needed to support this acceleration of nuclear programs. Welcome. I hope your microphone's on and keep it really tight too.
Okay, there we go.
Perfect.
Now we're good. So good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here in Paris and supporting the World Nuclear Exhibition. And it's awesome to be a part of this panel with a lot of our customers and customers in the audience and some of our partners as well. Just as background, Flowserve has been in the nuclear power generation business for over 75 years. We manufacture pumps, valves, and mechanical seals in the critical flow control elements of all the nuclear power systems. And so we're in the nuclear island, we're in the turbine island, and we've been participating in the industry for a long time. And what we value at Flowserve is not only being upfront, but being present for the life of the asset to make sure that we can be there to support the operations, the reliability, the potential life extensions, and just making sure that this asset can run for as long as it's designed. And so when we talk about innovation in the industry, we'll talk a couple things. So first on the product side, I would say absolutely number one is safety and reliability. And that means the world of Flowserve, our business system is geared around safety, it's geared around quality, and it's geared around supporting our customers. And so we start with a strong track record of domain expertise, technical expertise, and we've got a unique purview where we have pumps and valves in over 300 reactors around the world. And so when we really think about innovation, it's more about leveraging the technology and the know-how and the experience that we've had over this very long time to make sure that we're part of the industry for the future. And then if we think about kind of the next generation or fourth generation SMRs, we're also partnering with engineering houses and our customers to make sure that we can provide the technology of the future for the advanced technologies. And so when we think about molten salt, we're able to leverage our technology from concentrated solar power. We're using molten salt as the medium to keep the heat exchange at the higher rate. We also have done sodium before, and so a lot of these new concepts are not necessarily new to Flowserve, and they're things that we've done historically in other applications. And so we believe from a technology standpoint and a product offering, both in the pumps and valves, that we can be there for all innovation in the forward thinking for the nuclear generation. And then last, and I'll hit this maybe in another comment, but there is innovation on how we run our business as well. And so at Flowserve, we're always continuing to evolve. We think about how do we drive a cost-effective solution for our customers? How do we meet our deliveries? And I would say for this industry, this is something that will truly unlock the capacity and the need as we go forward, and the growth is to be more streamlined and really develop deeper partnerships with our customers, with the suppliers, and with the engineering houses to make sure that that process can drive the lowest costs, but also ensure delivery. And that may be the biggest part for innovation as we think about the future.
Thank you. I can see a lot of follow-up questions on that one. I mean, you mentioned SMRs as well, so I want to go to you, Ian Edwards. When, I mean, hearing this, what would you say are like the biggest challenges in scaling up nuclear worldwide, and how can they be addressed? We're going to talk about that here today, but I want to hear from you.
Yeah, sure.
And thanks, Ro.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to be here. And let's take the question, the challenges around scaling up. I mean, there are numerous challenges around scaling up, but I'll take two. One, government support, and two, the industry itself and its capacity to deliver what's ahead of us. So if we think about governments and we think about their need and their election cycles to get re-elected, and then think about the nuclear cycle and actually building a nuclear capability and having a program to deploy it. Those two things don't match, because it's going to take you 10 to 15 years to get a nuclear program in place. And frankly speaking, you know, I get the privilege of traveling the whole world as the CEO of Atkins-Realis, which is a global engineering business, but also the OEM of the CANDU Canadian nuclear technology. And when I speak to governments around the world, and particularly energy ministers and sometimes prime ministers and presidents, the decisions and the urgency around those decisions and the boldness that's needed to execute on those programs is slow, to say the least. And often the ambition is set out in the future where it's a safe place for governments to do. So what we really need to be seeing is some bolder action and some urgency around the need to deploy nuclear technologies. We all know we are running out of electrical energy. We all know that with the advent of electric world ahead of us and now data centers, we need more electrical power, we need secure power, and we need available and affordable power. So that's the first challenge that I see. The second is the industry itself. At Atkins-Realis, we have a fortunate place in nuclear because we've been on a rebuild program of about 22 reactors where they came to the end of their life that we built in the 70s and 80s and 90s. And we're halfway through that program. So we've got this ecosystem, we've got this capacity of supply chain, of universities, of graduates, of suppliers, scientists, and engineers that we've built in Canada of over 90,000 people. And that's a privileged position in the nuclear world today. I mean, I am joined by representatives from both China and France who have got admirable industries. But when you look across the rest of the world, most turn their back on the nuclear world and nuclear technologies after Fukushima. So they've got to rebuild those capacities and rebuild those capabilities. So those are the two things that I would say.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. We'll get back to that. And I think, I mean, we talked about the unique challenges, and looking in now to India, we're going to go to Mr. Samal. Great to have you here. I mean, when you hear Ian Edwards here, I mean, you have a really ambitious roadmap in India in order to increase your nuclear capacity just in the coming years, a very fast track. I mean, what is the strategy for this? How do you envision for India to actually really improve and fast forward to what is needed for India? Can you give us just a brief of your plan, strategy, and also go into challenges that we heard earlier for the globally, but for India?
Good afternoon. Before I start coming to your questions, let me introduce my company. I belong to NTPC. This is the largest power utility in India, producing about 25% of the demand, electricity demand in India. So producing about 440 billion units a year. We have presence in all sources of power generation except nuclear. Now we have entered into nuclear also, given the Government of India target of achieving net zero by 2070 and 100 gigawatt of nuclear, because it has been realized worldwide as well as in India that without nuclear it is very difficult to achieve net zero capacity. And as I said, we have about 84,000 gigawatt of installed capacity, nuclear, thermal, solar, all renewable sources, solar, hydro, and wind also. So now coming to your question, the strategy what is being thought about the India government. As my previous speaker has already pointed out, one of the challenges government support. We have 100% support from the Government of India. There is a clear vision by Government of India to achieve this nuclear capacity addition. By this, already the budget has been announced. The roadmap has been already prepared how to achieve this 100 gigawatt. That is the support from the Government of India. And the second thing, what Government of India is thinking that for achieving this huge capacity of 100 gigawatt, no single utility or maybe 2-3 utilities can achieve this. So we want to have multiple utilities coming to this sector, including private sector. So the required policy changes are being taken up, revising the Atomic Energy Act. For foreign participation also, the revision of CL&D Act, which is being one of the issues being talked about worldwide, that has been already taken up. Then next thing is the making the business case, nuclear as a business case, because as you know, this is a capital intensive, and the tariff for a nuclear power plant is slightly above than what is the conventional sources. So how to make it acceptable or how to make it economically viable, the business cases. So for that also, a lot of incentives are being thought of, lot of policy changes has been thought of. And this third strategy what we are following is collaborative approach. Whatever technology India has, that is there. That will be the main workforce, main capacity addition. Apart from that, whatever inputted technology will be required, for that also roads are being cleared. So as far as NTPC is concerned, we are also discussing with many suppliers, many OEMs like EDF in France and some other countries also, so that how this technology can be adopted in Indian conditions to make it viable. And coming to the challenges, of course, there are many challenges as to be faced by this sector. The first and foremost challenge, I believe, is the capability development. This is being a knowledge-driven sector. We need huge amount of workforce, capable workforce to achieve, to operate, first to construct and then operate these power plants. Then financial requirements. Because this, as I said, this is a capital-intensive projects. You need innovative financing options, including FDIs, foreign direct investment into the sector. Then the third one is the land requirement, the greenfield sites, and foremost requirement is the water. So as far as possible, we are targeting the coastal sites, but it is very difficult to arrange so much sites in the coastal region. As you know, India is a populous country, so it is very difficult to get so many sites in coastal areas being fertile land. So we have to go inland. So going inland, there has own challenges of getting fresh water. So that is one. Third thing is public opinion. As you know, nuclear has a somewhat negative connotations. So that also you have to overcome, how the public perception can be increased. Then, of course, the tariff, how the innovative approach can be done to reduce the tariff. So that's all from my side. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you mentioned EDF. We'll come there later. But we start now from this side. Dr. Fan Yuan from China, welcome. And I mean, looking into the remarkable progress your country have made in scaling up its nuclear capacity, and I know also the technology deployment, and you have the industrial ecosystem development that looks really good. But you also have challenges, and if you could share with us some critical lessons you've had on this path, and also telling us how you're going to accelerate in the future.
Okay, thanks, Linda. Thanks for the question. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my honor to be here to share the Chinese experience. So just we mentioned about how we learn from our progress in the past 40 years. So maybe I can elaborate some data and examples to show how the nuclear energy plays a key pivotal role in our energy transition process. I think this is more convincing. Use the data and use the examples. So I have give you some. Maybe someone knows that. Maybe someone just follow the news. Okay. First, as the latecomers in the global nuclear power field, China has carried out uninterrupted and large-scale nuclear power construction and operation 40 years. From the very first in the Zhejiang province, just someone told that Zhejiang province, and it's in the 1985. Right now, it's almost 40 years past. How about China, the performance in nuclear energy part? You know, for the latest data, and we already have the 59 units under operation, and 53 units under construction and get approved. So totally, we have almost 125 gigawatts, ranking first in the world. So this is how the nuclear energy plays an important role in China energy process. So for the technology road, we all mentioned about the innovation. We all know that innovation is the future of the nuclear, especially fusion. Nuclear is very hot recently. So from our parts, from the 1985, the CNP 300, the prototype, to right now we are all in third generation, like the HPR 1000, like CAP 1400. Still, the fourth generation, as the STGR, is already in operation in 2023. So SMR from the CNNC, the ACP 100 just achieved cold functional test last month. So additional advanced fusion projects like the ITER projects, we are already as one of the 7. And like the CNNC's HAL3, the tokamak, and the best facility of the Chinese Academy of Science already make the big progress. Maybe the 2027, we will generate the first electricity. Okay, in terms of operation, already also have the achievements that over the 30 years, we already accumulate over 600 reactor years of safety operation. China has achieved the top global ranking in the WNE performance index in the past 9 years. So, from our side, we just get a conclude for the 4 words: scale, continuity, diversity, and safety. So some of my fellows just shared about the government support is very important. So in China, how the government to support the nuclear industry? In the past, 4 years, we already have over 10 units every year to get approved. I think this is #1 in the world. So another part I think is a strategy about the innovation. In China, we call it thermal reactor, fast reactor, fusion reactor, 3 types nuclear strategy. Right now, we already get the fast reactor and already have the fusion reactor. So our strategy is successful. The third, I think like the ecosystem, like the supply chain is very important for every country who want to have their own nuclear power plant. But everyone knows that it's difficult. But for China, we have a very strong industrial-based foundation. So it's very good for our nuclear part. Right now, we almost have 6,000 companies is related about nuclear part. And they have the group and they have the very good skill and we have the own technology and independent and very reliable supply chain. This is why we can success. The last, I think international cooperation is very important. Like we have the CANDO from the Canada, we have EPR from the DF, and we all have the AP1000 from US. So I think the international cooperation is very important no matter which stage we are in. So, get conclusion, it depends on coherent long-term strategy, sustainable innovation, robust industrial foundation, and international collaboration. This is what we learned from in the past 40 years. Thanks, Linda.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We'll get back to you later. It's very interesting to hear, of course, and the critical lessons we'll come back to also in more detail. But now France, and we heard EDF was mentioned earlier by India, Samal here. I mean, you have a massive program in front of you as well for France. So can you tell us about, you're going to build 6 reactors, 14 EPR units by 2050? Give us the brief.
Thank you, Linda. Bonjour à tous, bienvenue à Paris. What is important for EDF is to contribute to a sovereign, low carbon and competitive France, which will benefit also Europe at the same time. Our goals. First is to meet net zero by 2050. Second is to reinforce European industry. This is why we are building 6 reactors which represent 10 gigawatt and 60 terawatt-hour. They will be available from 2038. An extension is planned for 8 reactors by 2050. It's the most important industrial program in Europe. We are building 3 pairs of reactors in France. They are based near our existing nuclear power plants in Spanly, Gravelines and Bugey. And what are the key features of our technology? First, it's high power. Second, it's high safety and standards. And third, it's easy to build. Our experience is built on projects we did in China, in the UK, and in France.
Thank you, Monsieur Gruz. And actually now I saw that Mr. Edwards wants to say something, but before that, we have to let in our European Parliament member. So Christophe Grudler, from a European then policy perspective, how do you see, as you're chair also of the European Focus Group, and the role of nuclear energy now when we're looking into also the climate and energy security goals? So it would be really interesting to hear what you say there. And are there any main, as you see it, regulatory and political hurdles to actually get through this, to get to the acceleration of 2050? Please give us your brief. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. First of all, thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to be with you today for this first roundtable of this very important world event. Well, the role of nuclear to meet the goal, the climate goals of the European Europe, the Green Deal goal for 2050, it means no more CO2 emissions in 2050 than we had in 1990. All was written in a communication of the European Commission in 2018. The name of this report was For a Cleanest Planet. And when you read this study, inside it is written that it will be impossible to meet the goal in 2050 if we do not have 15% of nuclear energy in the European mix. And at the beginning, we seem to forget it because we are only talking about renewables. It's important, of course, but we need 15% of nuclear energy in the mix. That's the reason why we need for the future to strengthen this energy. There are two main reasons. The first one, of course, it is the cleanest energy in the world, with all the life cycle. We forget that. From mining to waste, it's around 3 to 4 grams of CO2 per kilowatt. It is 14 for wind turbine. It is 60 for solar panels. First is the cleanest. Second, it is the most sovereign energy because it cuts our dependency to imported fossil fuels. And for me, it's a crucial goal because Europe controls today almost the entire value chain. Fuel cycle, skills, waste, operation. Nuclear today is a strategic asset, we can say, in a world where energy is a geopolitical power also. It's not only about energy. You know that in Europe, we continue to import 58% of our energy. And with nuclear, we will be able to be less than 50% of dependency. That's the reason why we need to strengthen that. We can make it increasing in the future because there is a momentum today. There is a global momentum, of course, and I think it is Rafael Grossi who said the first, a few years ago, the momentum arrives for nuclear. And he was right, because we have now a world momentum, and in Europe especially, we have a momentum. Did you realize that today we have an alliance, a nuclear alliance for the member states? We have 15 countries who want to use to be in this alliance for nuclear. We are also a stronger pro-nuclear majority in the European Parliament. It's quite new. In 2020, in this house, I founded the Nuclear Focus Intergroup. It was the name. Well, it was all the members of the Parliament who want to support nuclear energy. When I start, people say, "Okay, stop it. The European Parliament is strongly against nuclear. You waste your time." We did it. Today we are 120 members of the European Parliament. We are in all we are 720 members. It's quite important. It's in all the groups, political groups, and we can influence in all those groups to convince more colleagues. It means that now, when we have a text talking about nuclear, we have a clear majority in the European Parliament. Maybe you can talk a little of our success. We have success about taxonomy. We have success about CISAF. It is talking about state aids, about Net Zero Industry Act. When I was rapporteur, it is also important to have a list of all the clean techs with renewables and nuclear at the same level. And after that, we have the stakeholders, of course, and some are here today. And with the stakeholders, we have this very nice industrial alliance for nuclear, with coming from MEDEF in France, with Business Europe, with a lot of countries involved. And it's also very important. And to finish, the success of the SMR alliance, not far away from 400 different partners in this alliance. It's very important, and we can push a lot for European innovation. But many obstacles remain, and maybe to finish, it will be nice to note them. First, the access to funding is clear, especially the access to EIB. It's clear it's possible for EIB to finance, but today it's not always the case. It's difficult. Access to the future competitiveness fund, access to all the EU tools, and to finish, ending the discrimination. And maybe I will give you a small example. You know that we have radioisotope today, we have medicine with nuclear. It's good for the public acceptance also. But when we want to finance at the European level something about that, What is it? Where we are going to Horizon Europe, supposed to finance research. They say, oh, okay, it's research, but it is nuclear. Nuclear is not Horizon. It is Euratom, because we have a special treaty about Euratom. Then we go to Euratom with our project for radioisotope, and Euratom say, oh, it is medicine. It is not nuclear. Then go to Horizon. It's absolutely stupid, because we need it. We can save lives with that, and it's really important for the social acceptance of nuclear energy. That's the reason why we need to strengthen our work to be stronger.
Thank you. And we actually do have panels about actually exact that subject in how you can use radiation in medicine here on WNE. But I would like to go back to Mr. Edwards. You were highlighting earlier that you would like to make a comment, so please do.
Well, it was following my panel colleague's comment from CNNC in China that we actually have CANDU reactors in China that we built many years ago, and we're actually rebuilding one now. And it reminded me that if we're going to reach the goal of tripling nuclear power across the world, and many countries have signed up for that goal, it's not really a question of should we have this technology or should we have that technology, should we have SMR or should we have large nuclear? Because I come across, many countries that are, well, I think we'll wait until SMRs are proven, and then we'll go with the SMRs. We are not going to get there if governments take that approach. We need to build now, we need to build today, and we need to build with technologies that are available today. And we need a selection of everything to get to the goal that we're trying to get to as a planet. And if we don't change government policies, and we don't embrace all forms of nuclear power, as we embrace all forms of power generation, then we will not reach a net zero world, and we will not deliver on the COP28 promise of tripling nuclear power.
Thank you. And as you both said here, also Mr. Grudler, it's 31 countries that has endorsed this strategy for 2050. It's a lot of countries, and some of you here. Going back to China, Dr. Van Luan, I mean, we heard here, you were mentioning earlier how many nuclear power plants you are building and you have, but apparently you're very resilient, right? You have, a resilient domestic supply chain, which is really important. So could you share with us now how you have managed to secure these critical components and reduce these dependencies, and also to foster this, what we mentioned before, this industrial ecosystem for nuclear energy?
Okay, thanks, Linda. It's a very good question that, China also facing the same problems that, to support the 120 units, no matter under operation or under construction, we need to do our best to follow our ecosystem of our supply chain, no matter the result, and can imagine. So right now, the first, I think the supply chain is need to complete it. But this is for China, maybe it's doable, but for some countries, maybe it's a little hard to make the whole industry in domestic. But in China, from the R&D, from the design, from the main equipment procurement, about the construction delivery capability, for the decommissioning, for the whole ecosystem, in China, we are domestic, reliable, and durable. So this is the key part in China can be successful. Another, I think that we already have some good experience about the significant industrial cluster effect. So in China, we already have the 3 major nuclear power supply chain base. One is in northeast China, another in Shanghai, which I'm from, and another is Sichuan province. So this can make the industrial cluster can make the supporting service and improving the production efficiency, even to reduce the logistic cost. So this is especially for China, we have a very vast land. So this is very important. Another is independent coal technologies. So maybe for some part like the concrete, maybe for the steel, you can purchase from the abroad. But for the key part, maybe you need to rely on yourself. So everyone, I think, have these ideas. So for this part, R&D and for production is already domestic in China. But finally, I think, as I mentioned, by yourself is a little bit hard to have the complete the supply chain. So coordinate is important. So leading companies in China for the industrial chain always strengthen cooperation with others, like the research institution, university, and any parties in the chain, even abroad, even for international organizations. I can give you an example about HPR 1000. It's our IRP technology road. But even for this one, already have the 14 international institutions involved in our R&D and production. So coordination is very important. So ecosystem is our facing problems. So China has our way, but it's not maybe it's not a replication, but we have the experience to share with us. Coordination is always the best choice for all of us. So thanks, Linda.
Yeah, thank you. Scott Rowe there. I mean, both you and Ian Edwards are representing, how partnerships are crucial in this. And I think, can you just follow up here on how partnerships between supply chain and operators can accelerate in this global expansion of nuclear?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And at Flowserve, we believe it's 100% critical to partner to enable the expansion of the nuclear energy and the growth rate that we're talking about. And if we are going to triple nuclear power generation, then it's going to take customers and operators working with engineering and working with suppliers to make sure that we take all of the lessons from the past and apply that to the future. And so we fundamentally believe that's one of the unlocks. I'm glad I'm not answering the government question that Ian did. I'm going to stay away from that. But I do think once there's funding and approvals, there's ways to accelerate development. But it requires cooperation. It requires upfront collaboration with your customers to make sure that we're making, from a manufacturing standpoint, you want consistency. You want repeatability. And so if we can do the simple things up front, like standardizing on terms and conditions, standardizing on quality plans, standardizing on material specifications, all of those things up front will drive a much faster process in construction. And so we're excited about the partnerships that we have. We continue to reach out and do more in terms of bringing the industry together. And then the other thing is that from a supplier perspective, we get the opportunity to work in India, in Europe, in China, in the United States, and we can leverage some of that learning across the geographies and across the different technologies to bring those forward as we go forward. And so at Flowserve, we not only see ourselves as equipment manufacturer, but we truly see ourselves as a collaborator within the ecosystem to unlock the growth of nuclear technology.
Well, I'm really glad, given the world we're in also, that we really talk about these important partnerships. It should go for everything. As a former journalist, I think so. But going in, Edwards, that continue talking about the partnership and how that is a very crucial part, as you just said, Mr. Rowe. I think that you signed so many industrial partnerships. Can you just give us some advice on the benefits of that so we can cooperate more?
For sure. And I agree with my colleague here. Most of the things he said about partnerships. I mean, the whole concept of being in a partnership is that 1 + 1 should equal 3 or more. I mean, we're trying to form partnerships in business and in governments, both B to G and G to G, such that the combination of both brings a better outcome than you can on your own or in a singular kind of viewpoint. I think that the partnerships we've formed, in actual fact, 3 of our partners are actually sat on this panel, right? We're in business together with 3 of the companies in this panel. So we've definitely done that to enable our capacity for the challenge ahead that we know is going to be very, very strong in demand for all forms of nuclear technology. We know that we can't do this alone. we've created something in Canada which is called Canadians for Can Do, which means everybody in the ecosystem is a partner, including our government, which is very supportive, our provincial governments, unions, academics, supply chain partners, just everybody in the ecosystem has got on board with this. And similarly, when we work overseas and deploy overseas, we like to leave an ecosystem behind us full of partners that can actually continue the success and the generation of a nuclear industry in the governments and the countries that would deploy the Can Do technology. So absolutely essential to the success. I totally agree with my partner here.
Thank you. And I mean, going back to India now, to Mr. Samal, I mean, you are involved in some of India's most ambitious nuclear projects, and looking into partnerships that, can you share some of that, and also some innovative approaches that I know you have?
Yeah, first of all, I support, I'll just add how the partnership helps in taking forward your businesses. You can utilize each other's strength. You can combine the strength to overcome whatever gaps you have in a single organization may have, so that you can move forward. That should be one of the strategy to make it success. And now coming to the innovative approaches, yeah, every challenge has its, to have a solution to this challenge, you have to have an innovative approach. As I pointed it out, one of the challenges in a nuclear capacity addition is the cost, how to reduce the cost. So localization can reduce this cost to a great extent. By involving the local infrastructure, local supply chain, you can reduce the cost. That solves two purposes. One is energy, the cost reduction of the cost, as well as energy security also. So that approach is being followed. The third thing is the we have to meet that, we have come up with an idea of bulk tendering, because that needs, for localization or developing a supply chain, you need sufficient business also. So business class, you have to make the business class, because that requires a lot of investments on that. So for this, you have to see, the company has to see the business, future businesses also. So for that, we have come up with a bulk tendering concept. That means you come up with the proposal of having, let's say, very large number of, let's say 6 units, 10 units. So we came up with an UI with 15 gigawatt, 15,000 megawatt capacity addition at a single order, maybe on multiple vendors, I don't know, depending upon the situation. So that will give you enough business to invest locally and develop the local supply chain. And that comes with a compulsory localization, make in India concept, we call it. So that is phased manufacturing program. You cannot start 100% manufacturing or 100% localization from the very beginning. So, but gradually you have to increase the local content, so that at the end of your contract, or end of your the order, so almost, if not 100%, maybe 80%, 85%, depending upon the local infrastructure capability of the local suppliers, you can achieve that. Number two, I said this localization. Number three is making available the sites. So one of the challenges we are facing is making available the number of sites, greenfield sites. It's very difficult to get to today's parlance many sites. So one of the challenges, availability of fresh water. So how to get make this fresh water available. So for that, we are trying to adopt dry cooling system also, so that you can get more and more sites enabled for the nuclear power plants. So dry cooling system is not a new technology. It is being used in thermal power plants for the secondary site cooling. I am talking about secondary site cooling, because about 90% or 85 to 90% of the water is consumed in the secondary cycle rather than in the primary cycle. So adoption of this dry cooling system will make more and more sites available, so that you can overcome that problem. Third is the public perception, how to increase the public perception. That is very important to avoid this this negative opinion towards nuclear power plants. So a lot of things are being done to overcome or to increase the awareness of the public regarding the advantages of the nuclear energy, peaceful use of nuclear energy as such. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I mean, we're going into, the national responsibility you talked about here and also with the European coordination. But before that, I would like to have EDF and Mr. Gruys. I mean, looking at EDF and your stakeholders, when you work together, you have loads of partnerships, I know that. But how can that be a game changer, the partnerships and that for construction projects? Can you give us some examples?
Maybe some example, yes. I think one of the most important things on this huge program is trust and partnership. It's the two legs of the same runner. We want to go fast and far. On EPR2, trust is already present because we built reactors near existing sites where trust is always present. We believe that trust and transparency and continuous dialogue are key in the long run on this kind of project. Let me maybe give you two illustrations. First, we believe in maintaining dialogue with the local residents, the local economy, the local authorities. And when a new construction begins, for example, it means that about 10,000 jobs are going to be created, which means about 6,000 new people that need to be accommodated on the site during the period of construction. And we can't do this alone. We really need partnership with local authorities, local residents, and I think it's one thing that's very essential for us. The second point is also partnership for employment and jobs. So we have partnerships with schools, universities, and French organizations that help people receive training and find employment in the construction sector. Today, we are proud to say that we are, in 2 years, it's almost 300 people that have been employed on a construction site, so it's quite a good thing for us.
Well, it's great to hear people, you hiring. There's lots of job opportunities. Because, there's another discussion we have in some panels about AI and the jobs going away. So that was really good news. If we go back to you, Mr. Grudler, these partnerships, of course, you have the national responsibility when it comes to this. The resilience we heard China talk about earlier from your perspective there, which is very interesting. But, looking into if you're a European country and you have the EU, you have the European coordination, how can you accelerate these nuclear programs doing that balance?
Yeah, in order to be clear, Europe is not choosing the energy. It is a national choice. Each member state can choose the energy you want to meet the goal that we give as European. We have a climate goal for 2050, and all the member states choose. Europe need to support, to help them to catch their goal. It's clear that if we have a support of Europe, it must be for all the clean energies, clean technologies at the same level. It's not the case today, but it must be. You know that all the member states publish their we call it the National Energy Climate Plan, when they fix the goal for 2050. And when we had what each member state want to do for nuclear energy, we arrived to 150 gigawatts of power installed. 150, today we are around 98 gigawatts. Means that the member state want to increase the nuclear production about 50% till 2050. And I think that Europe needs to help them to reach this goal. And the problem today is that the current scenario of the European Commission is only 109 gigawatts. Maybe it's more comfortable because if we say that, we need less money and maybe it's easier to talk about it. But it's not the goal. it's not the role of the European Commission to say, okay, well, the member state want 150 gigawatt, but is it realistic? Maybe not. That's the reason why my scenario as Commission is only at this level. Is the Commission doing the same kind of exercise for renewables, for wind turbines, for solar, for other energy? No, it's only for nuclear, and it is written in a document which name is PINK. PINK, it's part of the Euratom Treaty. It's an illustrative nuclear program, we can say like that. And I'm very happy to see that the new one, the new PINK, has a real content about nuclear energy. Because in the past, it was only talking about waste, about safety. It's important, of course, but it was not the only goal. That's the reason why in the European Parliament we decided to give some advice to the Commission before she will publish the PINK. And we are working very closely with the European Social and Economic Council, which is also supposed to give an advice in December to try to convince the Commission to be at 150 gigawatts for the most scenario. The Commission, for me, needs to reflect the reality and support, not block. And for what we said before, the Commission has a lot of tools in its hand. It can be, for example, access to EU fund. I think it's crucial. EIB guarantees on long-term financing tools. We always forget that. But you know that in Finland, the Finnish company Fortum published a very interesting study when it is written that with long-term financing tool and with the help of EIB, we can cut nuclear financing costs up to 60% if we have those supports. Okay, no problem. Okay, and maybe the Commission can help with faster state aid approval, with stable and predictable rules, with help for skills, fuel cycle, supply chain, etc., and to finish efficient safety and licensing process. Because the cooperation for licensing and safety, maybe it is the talon d'Achille today. Because if we produce a SMR, for example, in a country, it will not be so fluent to put it in the 26 other countries. We are in a common market, but the safety authority maybe look at it very carefully in each country. Yep. And maybe we can have more cooperation between the safety, national safety, in order maybe to not to waste time.
I'm glad you mentioned the CEO of Fortum, who's actually here. There's a panel discussion where he's present and talk about the Finnish and also the Scandinavian approach. I don't know if you hear it, guys, but they're building a nuclear power plant behind us. You probably don't hear it, but it's a lot of smashing behind here. I hope it is one, by the way. Anyhow, I think going back to you now, Scott Rowe, I think we're getting into the phase in this panel discussion. We're talking about lessons learned, really, and focus on that. And one thing that's really important that's come up from pretty much all of you is the cost efficiency. Crucial. I mean, sharing knowledge, sharing best practice, etc. But if you look at past nuclear projects that you've been involved with, what would be how can you ensure more cost-effective deployment according to you and FlowServe?
Yeah, this is a really good question, and I'll answer it from the equipment side. But I would say on the equipment side, the technology, the safety, and the reliability are always on the front burner, and I think the industry's done a very nice job of advancing progress there and learning from all of the previous reactors that have been built. The area that still needs improvement is cost and schedule. And so I would ask the operators here that, and some of our contracting friends that, when we think about cost and schedule from an equipment standpoint, it really is about minimizing change and doing more work up front. And so if we can minimize change, if we can drive standardization up front, if we can move to modularity, then that allows us to drive our costs substantially lower, and it allows us to deliver in a much faster time. I think that's probably the single biggest lesson learned standpoint, and making sure that we can follow that as we go forward and we think about this dramatic growth where we're going to need more capacity around the front end with engineering and design than maybe even in the manufacturing. That we think about standardization, we think about change management, we really start on
I
partnerships.
think you should take the microphone, sorry, from Mr. Griedler, because it's, yeah, sorry, continue.
Sorry, we're cutting in and out there. But it's really around aligning on some of the standardization that I talked about with partnerships, right? And that's your quality plans, your material specifications. If you can get to design standardization, that's a huge win. But that's really it and my side. If by doing that, by driving that standardization, that will drive costs down. It'll allow us to move faster, and I think we'll have the ability to scale that we've talked about in the future.
Mr. Edwards, Ian, you wanted to say something there as well on the same note, I think, when more cost-effective deployment?
Yeah, I think the way that I would think about this is in three parts. One that we've talked about a bit here, the design part or the technology part, the method of delivery, and then how it's financed and how we bring money to the table. And if we can standardize and get repeatability into all of those, we're going to end up with a more efficient product overall. I mean, clearly, getting designs in place that are continually improved, but not completely re-innovated into new technologies on a regular basis is essential to that repeatability. Getting delivery partners and supply chains that are lined up, that have done this many, many times, will create efficiencies. They will create better methods of delivering the assets and more effective ways of delivering the asset. And then lastly, we don't have a model across the world to finance these things. And clearly, different countries have different ways of doing this. But certainly, what we really need is a way that governments can access private sector finance in a repeatable way that actually works. And it's not trying to transfer risks where risks don't belong. So if we get those three things, I think that we can start driving the costs down, the efficiencies down. And as we all know, which we've experienced ourselves, when we went into our program of rebuilding reactors, the CANDU reactors, the first one took an awful lot longer than the second, the third, and the fourth. And then once we're into the fourth, we get into this repeatability, and in our case, on time and on budget, and actually even before time and on budget, which is not something you hear often in the nuclear industry. But we managed that through having a program of 22 reactors that we're halfway through. So it can be done, it will be done. And I have confidence if we think about those three things, we'll increase efficiencies considerably.
Thank you. I mean, we talked a lot about partnerships now, so I think that we're going to go into more factors of success. And I know for EDF, partnerships is important. But could you also, you have this ambition now, French nuclear program, and looking into their success, what else do you need? What kind of factors? We have the politicians, of course. But what are the crucial key factors besides partnership to succeed with your program?
Effectively, our ambition is to succeed the energy transition by providing our customers with competitive and decarbonized and sovereign electricity. It's a goal, and we have the means, but we also have the skills. We will succeed if we are performance. Performance means safety and security, quality and speed in construction. We will succeed if we all work together. We talk about partnerships, but I think it's very important things for us.
Yeah.
Engineers, workers, industrial authorities, and last but not least, but we rely on the European supply chain, and that we are reinforcing. It's maybe one of our main goals is to reinforce the European supply chain. Let me share an example, maybe. In July, we signed a pact of performance, a performance pact, with the main suppliers. The idea is to work with contractors and industrial to find technical solution before amending existing contract. Trust and partnerships. One more. This is something that we did in China on the Taishan project, and it worked very well. So we want to do the same thing on the UPR2 program.
Thank you. I mean, China, once again, Dr. Fan Yuan, you mentioned, you know, the deployment and supply chains and what have made you successful. But looking into now other countries here, people in the audience, but also at the table, what can we learn? What have you done well? But also, what should we not do that you've done? But can focus on what can we learn from your experience?
Okay, thanks, Linda. I think it's a tough question. Tough is not about the question, it's about how we face the problem is. So everyone, we mentioned about the tripling nuclear energy. But I think, first of all, we should to tackle the problem about how much we need to pay for the tripling energy. So, you know, sometimes I attended the IEA conference, and Mr. Grossi, the DG of the IEA, just mentioned about that if we want to make the tripling nuclear energy into reality, we need to tackle two questions. One is the financing, another is delivery capability. So I think no matter Canada or the France or even India in China, we also face the same question: how we can make our project cost controllable? Yeah. So I just gave you, this year, I just read an article from the Nature that the name is "Can China Break the Cost Curse of Nuclear Power and What Other Countries Can Learn?" So from the quotation of this article, that the article shows some data about in the last, from the 1980s to the 21st century, the cost for the US is almost 10 times. From the article, I don't know if it's accurate. So for the France, it's almost 2 times. So, but in China, we have the cost. So the article gives some reasons, but I find it's a very key point is the delivery capability. So no matter how advanced your technology is, no matter how ambitious you are, you have to tackle how you can make your planning into reality. So delivery capability is a very key point. So in China, why we can do such control our cost and our duration, because we have our accumulation of the skill, you know, we almost have the 100 units, and we all have the different technology rules like the EPR, like the AP. We have the feedback, make our delivery capability evolve continuously. And another is, I think, is to technology and in management evolution is very important. Right now, we have make the intelligent manufacturing, intelligent construction, and digital management based on the modularization. This is very important for the future project part. So I think this is, we think that featuring prefabrication in factory as a mainstay and construction on-site as a supplement is a future trade to control our duration and the cost. So I think tackle the delivery capability problems is also our experience we want to share the world, because we think the cheaper, the safer, and faster, and can make have the tripling nuclear energy into reality. Thanks, Linda.
Oh, thank you. Very interesting. And I mean, looking into now, I mean, EU, once again, Mr. Griedler, I mean, you mentioned the next EU budget could make a turning point here, but can you tell us some immediate actions you expect from the Commission, maybe, within the coming months, so they can remove the barriers and currently hindering what I see as investment in nuclear? Give us some positive news, please.
Yeah, I will try to.
Yeah.
But it's clear that the next EU budget is a turning point, and it's very important for us to succeed. We must treat all clean technologies equally. And we do not need a favor for nuclear. We need to have the same level as all the clean technologies. You know that there are some anomalies, some inconsistencies, as we say, in European funds. For example, you know that with structural funds, it is forbidden to finance nuclear. You know that with the Just Transition Fund, which is a fund created in order to switch coal, petrol, etc., in the Just Transition Fund, it is forbidden to finance nuclear. It's absolutely crazy. And for the next MFF, we will switch that and to find a kind of equality for all the technology. It means that nuclear will have the same chance as the other. And opening all the EU tools to nuclear is crucial. A convergence between Horizon and Euratom, we need it for research. It's very important. We need funding for feasibility on licensing studies, supporting the supply chain and manufacturing, the skills, of course, I talked about it before, the R&D, innovation, and demonstration also. The fuel cycle, we used to forget it. The fuel cycle investments seems to be very important in the future. We need that, and we need the help of the Commission for that. You know, we are policymakers. They can make proposal, and we decide at the end. But it's better when the Commission comes with a good project, because we do not have so much work to do, and it's better for all. And we need also, maybe to finish with that, we need also the support, the full support of the European Commission to the European stakeholders and European technologies. Because I was a little bit disappointed, and I'm sorry if I say something a little bit disruptive. I was very disappointed about the agreement between Ursula von der Leyen and Mr. Trump. We decided to buy 3 billion of nuclear technology in 3 years with America. You know, I'm in favor of partnership. We talked about it before. I'm fully in favor. But I'm also in favor of fair competition. And, well, what is it the role of the European Commission to decide? It's clear that it is the energy producer who decide which technology they want to have, or maybe member states, because they are responsible of the energy for their citizens. But it's not the role of the European Commission to say we'll buy this. And the second thing, which is not fair for me, it is we receive a list. We will vote maybe in December on it in the European Parliament. We receive a list of American products who are supposed to have zero tariffs in the common market. And it is the case for all nuclear technologies, nuclear reactor, nuclear boilers, etc., etc. It's not fair, because when we, with our European technologies, when we want to go to America, we have tariffs. And it is not WTO compatible. That's the reason why we will fight against that. We want to let you know. It's not against America. I need to be clear about it. But if we need to be partners, not suppliers, not only suppliers. We can be suppliers. We have a very good supply chain. But we need some time to be respected. And I think with that, it's not a good signal. That for the hope for the future, I hope we'll have something more balanced and that we can strengthen the links between all the nuclear stakeholders around the world, of course.
Thank you. And I'm glad also you mentioned earlier the mix, the renewables. I mean, me coming from Sweden, we have 42% hydro, for example, and nuclear, which is really important, of course. We go to Samal before we're going to do the wrap-up of this panel. But, I mean, we would love to hear now, well, at least I would love to hear, and I think the panel, the key enablers, I think, that will help you to do these ambitious targets you have for India. Please fire away. What do you need and what is feasible?
Yeah, to make this fast tracking of any nuclear program successful, you need a clear roadmap. Before that, you need a clear intention from the government side. They want to do this with a clear roadmap, identifying the inputs required, to make it success and make it available with an affordable cost. Number two. Number three, whatever policies being made, that should make a business case, that should make a self-sustained business, profitable business. Then only many people, many utilities will come forward to make it a success. It's not the job of one or two utilities or one or two companies. It is a complete ecosystem is to be developed, including the supply chain, including the infrastructure available. That includes public also. So the public perception has to be increased. The awareness is to be increased. That all those things, the government of India is working very, diligently to make it success. Third is localization. Without localization, without involvement of the local industry, it is not possible to make it success. Everything you cannot import, that will, apart from increasing the cost, that will not, the local public will not be benefited. Generation of employment, so many things are there, direct, indirect employments are there. So all these things you have to make available in order to make it, make the business case successful. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And I hope you all will stay these 2 days to mingle and network at new partnerships. And we have soon a panel here that is sponsored by EDF that will continue to talk about the supply chains and lessons for nuclear's next wave. So please give the panel a warm hand and see you soon here for the next panel. Thank you. Thank you.